Hello, hello, hello. What a guan, what a guan, what a guan. Hope everybody's Sunday is doing fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Got a great show for you guys today. Another very practical show, right? As we talked about yesterday, I'll be looking at shoulders. I know, that's that thing that gives you that V shape, right? For guys, you want the broad shoulders. And even for the ladies out there, make your waist look slimmer, right? We could all do with that, right? That was the thing my first coach taught me. The bikini model, she was like, put some caps on the delts, essentially, right? Make you look greater in clothing and in jackets. So let's see, who do we got in the chat so far? Hello, Needs Watches. Hey. Needs Watches is killing it today. Got his workout in and he did a live stream already. I have not gotten a workout in today, so he's way ahead of me. Hello to the Positive Therapist. Hello to Igwe's daughter as well. Hello, Seek Amethys. Welcome again. Welcome back. Welcome back. Who else have we got here? Hello to Skincare Do's and Don'ts. Hello. Yeah. Skincare, Seek Amethys. I was told I had basketball shoulders and I don't know what it means. I'm going to take that as a compliment for you, Seek Amethys. Yeah, because if you just think about it, right? The wider the shoulders are, it gives the illusion of the slimness of your waist, right? That V taper, it works both for males and females. Probably more so for guys, since girls love broad shoulders, right? That's definitely a thing, I'm going to drop the link earlier today in case anybody wants to call in with a question or a comment about what we're going to go over. Feel free to ask comments, questions during the show. You don't have to wait till the end. I will definitely get to all questions, right? So, gonna jump into things here.
Developed shoulders give off a more athletic, strong, and attractive appearance than having underdeveloped shoulders. So if you want to build up your shoulders, you want to make sure that you're doing the most effective and efficient exercises to get results faster. And I'm sure most of you don't have a ton of time to figure out which exercises and workouts produce better results. That's why I want to go over the only shoulder exercises that you need to get full three-dimensional defined looking shoulders in no time. So first, we have to start with dumbbell overhead presses because this is an exercise that you can do with just 2 dumbbells, yet it's extremely...
Now here, what you're going to see a common theme here is about how much weight you're using, right? So most guys, generally speaking, lift too heavy in the gym. Most ladies don't lift heavy enough. You're going to hear me say this repeatedly. When my first coach had me doing this, I think she gave me 2 10-pound dumbbells. And after like 8 reps, I couldn't move my arms, right? I remember going to the gym, feeling kind of stupid. I was the only dude there, I felt like, with these little ass weights. It is what it is, right? If I'd used heavier weights, A, probably hurt myself. B, I wouldn't have developed these shoulders, right? Because I wouldn't be working the muscles. And for the ladies out there doing 2-pound dumbbells, you're not developing anything either, right? There's a happy medium.
effective at targeting the anterior and the lateral shoulder heads. This exercise is very easy to set up and it can be done standing or seated. I recommend doing it seated so that your back is supported. This way...
I agree. Seated is best. Now, in most gyms, you have 2 setups. You'll see a seat with a little short backrest. It depends on your body type. That's usually the one people go to do this kind of exercise. Personally, I prefer the ones with the taller backs. I don't know, it just works for me that way. So it depends which will work for you best.
You can use heavier weights to target your shoulders even better. So take a seat with 2 heavy dumbbells planted on your knees. Then you're going to kick 1 dumbbell up at a time to bring them over your shoulders and rotate your arms.
So when you kick these dumbbells up, right, if you can't maintain them like that, it's too heavy, right? Too heavy.
Out to get into the starting position. From there, press straight up over your head until the dumbbells are almost touching.
Notice when he went all the way up, he didn't lock out his elbows, right? When you lock out a joint, then the joint is taking the brunt of all the force of the weight, right? You don't want to do that. Never lock out on anything. you're doing a leg press, whatever, you always pretty much want to avoid locking out the joint. Same in martial arts. When you throw a punch, they tend to not lock all the way out, right? You're losing force and you're more likely to injure yourself. So let's continue.
Then lower back down until...
Notice where he pauses right there. He didn't go all the way down here, right? He paused here. Again, if you can't stop, the weight is too heavy, right? It is what it is. You don't want to come down here because now you're taking the stress, the tension off the muscles that you're trying to recruit, the muscles you're trying to develop, to grow, to stress out, right?
The dumbbells are even with your ears or a little lower, and then repeat for reps. Right alongside this exercise, and what many people consider to be an even better shoulder builder, is the barbell military press. If you have a barbell, this exercise will allow you to load a much heavier weight load since both arms are working together at the same time. Working on increasing the weight load tends to help bulk up the muscles that you're targeting over time. Just like the dumbbells, you can do these standing, but I recommend doing them seated so that your back is supported, as it'll once again allow you to...
Another thing too, if you're doing any of these things standing, I agree, seated is better. Wear a weight belt, right? Because what's going to happen, you're going to try to arch as the weight gets heavy. Your body's trying to stabilize yourself, right? But generally speaking, seated is always going to be better because you want the support for your lower back.
Lift heavier weight. So take a seat and grip the bar about thumb's distance apart from where the knurling starts. Lift the bar off the rack and slowly lower down towards your chest. As you do this, you'll have to shift your head back to give the bar space to pass. Also, you have the option to lower it down right to your chin before pressing back up, but I personally like to get a full range of motion on this exercise, so I like to bring the bar all the way down to my chest.
So I'm going to disagree with him here. I think when you bring it all the way down, you put extra unnecessary stress on the shoulder joints, and it always feels off to me. And when I go heavy, it really feels off. So again, I would recommend not going that deep. Again, everybody's body is different, but if you get any signs of pain, that's not muscle pain, that's your body trying to tell you to, don't not do that.
Before pressing back up and repeating for reps. Another pressing exercise that you should be doing is the Arnold press. Arnold presses allow you to go through an even greater range of motion, giving you a stretch at the bottom that most other pressing exercises simply don't provide. They also target your lateral head better than most other pressing exercises as well. So just like regular dumbbell presses, you'll start by sitting on a bench with the dumbbells on your knees. Then bring the dumbbells up to the starting position, which is going to look like you just completed a bicep curl. Your palms should be facing towards your body and your elbows should be directly under your hands. Next, you're going to press up, and as you're doing that, rotate your hands inward so that at the top of the press, your palms are now facing away from you. Then lower back down while turning your hands back outward and return to the starting position with the dumbbells curled against your shoulders. Then repeat. Next is the bent arm lateral raise. This is an exercise that you definitely want to be doing even if you're already doing.
This is one of the most key exercises out there. Next to the dumbbell press, this is probably the most critical one. If you're trying to develop the side of the shoulders, the lateral heads, you have to do this exercise. This is mandatory. If you're not doing this, nothing is going to happen for you. I can guarantee you this. The side lateral, you'll feel it right in here. And again, if you're not feeling it, again, the weight is too heavy or your form is off, right? It's not a back exercise. Although you do use some of the rear delts, you need to feel it in this part of the arm.
Regular lateral raises. Since bending your arm creates a shorter lever length, you're able to lift more weight with the bent arm lateral raises, once again assisting with shoulder development. To begin,
the other thing here is you want to use a set of wide rep ranges on these, which means a wide range of weights. What do I mean by that? So for example, as low as 6 or 8 and as high as say 15 to 20. The reason being this side of the arm grows great when you're using a variety of reps. It's not just very heavy or very light. For whatever reason, this area of the arm tends to respond best to a combination. Therefore, if you're only doing heavy, you'll get results for sure. And if you're doing light, you'll get results. But the best results is a combination of both.
Grab 2 dumbbells and position them in front of your body. Then bend slightly forward to better target your lateral deltoid and to prevent your body from getting in the way. Once you're in this starting position, raise the dumbbells to your sides, trying to keep your elbows slightly higher than your hands the entire time. As you raise up, your elbows should be at 90-degree angles, and your armpit should also create a 90-degree angle at the top of the movement. Then slowly lower back down and repeat for reps. You can do this exercise seated as well by sliding to the edge of the bench and passing the dumbbells under your thighs for every rep. Another exercise for the lateral head that I feel is a much better variation than regular lateral raises is the leaning lateral raise. The leaning lateral raise will allow you to get a greater range of motion at the top of the movement, overloading that portion and making.
Another big benefit of this is that it's forcing you to do one arm at a time. Why is this important? Whenever you're doing an exercise, both arms, both legs, what have you, it's hard to truly focus as much as it's a single arm or a single leg, right? So what you'll find is curls. That's why you see most of the time when guys are doing curls, it's alternating right, left, right. Talking for dumbbells, you don't typically see a guy with two dumbbells just going like this, right? You can do that, but it's significantly more effective when you're trying to make this mind-muscle connection to feel the muscle. If you're just moving the weight and you're not feeling the muscle, you're just moving the weight. It's like you're playing with the weights. You see this a lot on back exercises. Guys will be using heavy ass weight and they're not really working their back. They have no kind of back, very unimpressive looking back. You see this on the lat pull-on machine all the time. Same thing with the ladies. They're yanking away at the weight, not really feeling the muscle. Doing one arm like this, holding on to something, it forces you to focus on that arm. You'll try it. Just do a simple experiment. Try with both dumbbells and then switch to one. You'll notice you feel it more in that arm.
Making it harder to complete. To perform leaning lateral raises, you'll first need something sturdy that you can hold on to. Either a racked barbell or a squat rack will work just fine, but anything sturdy that you can hold on to while leaning away will work. So in this demonstration, I'm going to grab the post of a squat rack, and then from there, you want to walk your feet closer to the post while straightening the arm that's holding onto it so that you're leaning out to one side. Then simply raise the dumbbell up and out to your side while keeping your elbow slightly bent. Raise the dumbbell all the way up until your arm is parallel to the ground, then lower back down and repeat. Now the truth is that it's easy to target the front heads of your shoulders with compound exercises like most presses to the point that it's not really necessary to do isolation exercises like frontal raises.
I agree with this 100%. You don't want to overtax your body. I don't do front raises anymore. Just enough bench pressing, you're hitting the front delts pretty much in any pressing motion. So to compound it by doing specific front lateral raises is usually not that important in my opinion, unless you have a lot of time in the gym or you're more advanced and you're really trying to tweak this one body part specifically. But again, it's not really necessary for most people.
At all. It's a little more challenging to target that middle head, but it's most challenging to hit the back of your shoulders. So one of the best isolation exercises that you should definitely be doing to balance out your shoulder development is the reverse fly. Here you would grab two dumbbells and
I agree 100%. And the seated version of this is probably even better because if you'll notice as he's lifting up the dumbbells, he's cheating a little, right? It's your body's natural, you're compensating, you're coming up a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an advanced movement as well. When you have to get heavier to keep getting gains, there is some cheating. But when you're seated here, it will force you to keep your back neutral. So you're not jerking up and down. You're truly just focused on those rare deltoids. So I would recommend doing this seated. And again, this is not the thing to use heavy weights on for the rare delts. 5, 10, 15, 20-pound dumbbells should be good for most people. So here's another tip. You've probably seen this in the gym before. Very muscular guy, very strong lady, and they're not using very heavy weights, quote unquote. By that, I mean, say they're doing something with a 30-pound dumbbell, and there's a person half their size using the same 30-pound dumbbell. One of them is doing something wrong, and it's unlikely it's that very muscular person. Most likely, the less muscular person is lifting too heavy. You see this all the time. All my coaches had me do this. They would always lower the weights, right? Most guys lift too heavy. And like I said, most ladies don't lift heavy enough.
Bend down until your chest is almost parallel to the ground. While doing this, make sure you keep the natural arc in your back rather than letting your spine completely round forward. Then while keeping your elbows slightly bent, you're going to perform a reverse fly by bringing the dumbbells out to your sides.
Like I'm saying, if you see what he's doing here, this would be a lot easier to do if you were seated, right? It's easier to keep that back neutral, like I was saying. And you're less likely to use the rest of your body momentum to get the weights up. And if you find yourself doing that, that's a sign that it's too heavy, right? Too heavy.
And then towards the ceiling in an arc-like motion. Then bring the dumbbells back together and repeat for reps. These can also be done seated with you bent over your knees by passing the dumbbells under your legs, just like we would do with the bent arm lateral raises. Now, both of these variations are isolation exercises, but luckily there is a compound exercise that works the back of your shoulder very effectively. And since it's so hard to hit the back of your shoulder, this is definitely one that you want to incorporate into your routine. High rows. You can do these with a barbell or with dumbbells. The key is to grab the weight and bend down until your upper body is once again almost parallel to the ground.
For safety reasons, I would recommend doing these lying down flat on a bench. At an incline, for example, you can easily just put your chest down to dumbbells and do that. You can do this method like he's saying here, right? But again, for safety purposes, you're getting similar benefits by just leaning down on the bench. You're truly isolating the rear delts. You're not using any of these ancillary muscles to help you lift the weight up, right? So lay down on the bench, you'll feel a great burn in your rear delts.
Then row straight back with your elbows flared out and up high, aiming to row the barbell or the dumbbells higher up towards your chest rather than your belly button like you would with regular rows. From there, you would just lower the weight back down while staying in that bent over position with your back maintaining its neutral arc, and then repeat for reps. Another exercise that can be just as effective for the back of your shoulders is the cable reverse fly. Here you would position two cables a little higher than shoulder height. You can use D-handle attachments to take a neutral grip to perform this exercise, but I like to grip the cables themselves behind the carabiner. So to begin,
I agree with this. If you try it with the handles, it's going to be awkward. Just remove the handles, and I find it easier if you look carefully at where his hands is positioned. It's above the carabiner where you'd click onto the weights. And don't worry, the cable won't hurt you or anything like that. And you just grab one side, bring it over, grab the other side, bring it over, and you stand there and then you do this back and forth, back and forth. And again, this is not something you're going to use heavy weights on. The rear delts is not a big muscle, right? Same with the side delts. These are not exercises you use very heavy weights on for the side or the rear delts. Resist the urge to do that. You can easily crush these muscles, I mean, in a good way, right? With 10, 15 pounds or 20 pounds on the machine very easily. I've seen very muscular people not using a ton of weight on this.
you're going to face forward towards the cable cross and grab the left cable with your right hand. Then cross your left arm over your right arm and grab the right cable in your left hand. So that's your starting position with both arms crossed over each other. From there, you're going to open your arms and bring the cables back in that same arc-like path with your elbows slightly bent the entire time. After bringing both cables all the way back, squeeze your shoulder blades together for a second before slowly returning the weights back to the starting position with your arms crossed over, and then repeat for reps.
I mean, there was this IFBB pro in the gym I go to, and she had a ridiculous back, right? And I remember she was always doing this exercise, and she showed me how to do them properly one time. And yeah, you feel a great burn back there. Great, great, great burn. And again, it's so simple and easy to do, right? The only tricky thing is, finding at that spot where nobody's using one side of the machine, right? It's like when you're trying to do chest flies, you kind of got to be lucky to find that happening.
The next exercise is if you're stuck at home and you don't have dumbbells or barbells or really any equipment. You don't have to do this if you do have the equipment to do these other exercises that we've already gone over. But if you don't, pike push-ups are really good at developing your shoulders utilizing only your body weight. Most people do these on the ground, and if you're a beginner, you should definitely start on the ground to get a good feel of how to do this exercise properly. However, once you become more comfortable on the ground, I recommend trying to elevate off the ground by using.
The key thing here is to start on the ground, right? Don't be trying to snap anything or break anything, because here's what happens. You hurt something. What does this mean? You go to therapy. You can't work out. So all these gains you've been getting, can't do that, right? You hurt your shoulder. What are you going to work? Your biceps? You need your shoulder. What are you going to work? Your chest? You need your shoulder, triceps. You're very limited as to what you can do if you screw up your shoulder. Extremely limited. And shoulder screw-ups are a big problem to recover from, right? They can be nagging, become chronic, what have you. So you really don't want to screw up your shoulder. So I'd be very careful with this. Again, this is only if you can't go to a gym. This is not like some superior method, right? If you can go to a gym, do not do this. Don't bother. I'm going to do the pike push-ups for variations. No, do not do the pike push-ups. This is only if you have no other options, because of COVID or whatever, you don't want to go to the gym, then you can do this. But don't just do this to mess around or for fun, let's say. No.
Using stable platforms of some sort to allow for a greater range of motion. When you do these on the ground, your head prevents you from getting a good stretch in the shoulders. Meanwhile, on
The problem here, right, is to get this better stretch, you can put yourself in somewhat of a compromised position. So I would only do these if you've already been working on it for a while, you got very good flexibility, you're a fit person. I would not recommend these for any kind of beginner, for sure. Do not do these as a beginner. Don't come back and tell me you hurt yourself, right? I'm being very clear. Not for beginners. Not for beginners.
Platforms, you can go a lot lower and challenge yourself a lot more. You would just set up 3 platforms, one of which you would put both your feet on, and then you would put one hand on each of
I could just see some of you know with dining chair tables on the couch and yeah, some kind of accident happening, right? So please do not do that.
the others. For once, you'll want to actually raise your hips up in the air so that your body forms a triangle shape. Then lower yourself down for a push-up until you get a nice stretch in your shoulders and your upper chest. And from there, press back up to the starting position. Finally, last but not least, is an exercise that helps strengthen the function of shoulder elevation. But I will say it mostly targets the traps, barbell shrugs. And shrugs made it into this video because your traps help complete and balance out the look of your shoulders. And the secondary muscle worked to the traps during shrugs actually happens to be your shoulders. So I would definitely include a shoulder elevation exercise like barbell or dumbbell shrugs in my routine. Performing them is pretty straightforward. You would just grab a heavy loaded barbell or dumbbells, unrack the weight, and shrug your shoulders straight up. Then squeeze at the top for a second before slowly lowering back down and repeating for reps. The main mistake that you want to avoid is barely moving your shoulders up and down because the weight is too heavy. I see this all the time.
This is extremely important. Again, I told you at the beginning of the show, this will be a common theme talking about lifting too heavy, right? This is a perfect example of that. So some of you probably know there's the machine in the gym, 2 handles, you put weights on each side to do shrugs, right? You just hold hands and do this, up and down, up and down. Or you see guys with dumbbells or the barbell, right? It's only recently that I could put 2 plates on each side. And even then, I usually don't bother. I just put 145 on each side and maybe a 25 in addition. Because what happens is most guys are in there doing this. They're just barely moving. They're not going all the way up. Or if they can't squeeze. Like right now, even with just my hands, I feel a squeeze. Like I'm feeling something back there, right? If you're sitting down and you do this, you should feel something back there. Because when you do any exercise, you want to be able to contract the muscle. When the weight is too heavy, you're moving it, but you can't contract the muscle. So for example, the bicep curl, you're supposed to squeeze and then come back down. When it's too heavy, your ass can't squeeze, right? As a matter of fact, you don't even got full range of motion because it's too heavy. So you're doing this nonsense, playing around with these big ass dumbbells and with your puny arms, right? Don't do that. Similarly with this, don't ego lift. Put something light that you can get all the way up like this. You can feel the squeeze back there. So I actually have traps, right? Very common to see guys in the gym with 2, 3 damn plates doing some foolishness, barely moving the damn thing. They have no traps. Yeah, they're muscular, but they have no traps. No traps whatsoever. Do not be one of those guys. Please do not be one of those guys. Do not do that. Silly, very stupid. Let's continue.
So performing mini shrugs is a definite no-no. And also don't roll your shoulders on every rep. Instead, just go straight up and down. So those are really the only exercises you need for optimal shoulder development. The reason why there's so many posterior deltoid exercises and so few anterior deltoid exercises is because the front part of your shoulder gets constant work even during exercises like bench press. So usually additional isolation exercises are not necessary.
We touched on this earlier, right? You're getting the front is going to get hit on a lot of chest work. So for the typical person, do not bother with isolation work for the front, right? Focus your energy and your time on the sides, which is what you want to get broader, wider shoulders, right? That's what's going to look impressive when you take your shirt off. That's what's going to make you in your shirt or jacket or whatever look more impressive, whether you be a guy or a girl, right? Focus on those, not the front.
On the other hand, the middle and especially the back parts of your shoulder need that extra focus to develop in proportion with the rest. Now, as usual, I don't recommend you do all of these exercises in one giant workout. I would take half and combine them into a shoulder workout of your own. An example would be to start with military presses for 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps, then move on to bent arm lateral raises for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, followed by high rows for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Then move on to reverse cable flies for 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and finally finish off with shrugs for 3 sets of 10 reps. You can save the other half of the exercises for your second arm training day of that week.
So here's a good tip, right? If you're trying to grow your shoulders or any other body part, frequency matters. What do I mean by that? So let's say you're trying to grow your shoulders, right? And you're doing shoulders once a week. And you worked out every week of the year. That's 52 times you hit shoulders. If you work out shoulders twice a week with the same amount of volume, you don't even change the volume. So let's pretend you are doing 10 sets for shoulders, right? If you did 5 on Monday and 5 on Thursday, your shoulders are going to grow better than if you did 10 on Monday, each Monday. Why is this? Between the time Monday to Monday, right, you would have fully recovered and you're not stimulating that muscle again. Where if you went Monday and Thursday, by Thursday, you're fully recovered. You have that Tuesday, Wednesday in between, stimulating that muscle again on Thursday. Then the following Monday, because now you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you got to rest, stimulate again on Monday, and so on and so forth. So now instead of hitting the muscle 52 times for the year, you've now hit it 104 times for the year. So if I was to clone you and you did shoulder once a week, and your clone did it twice a week, your clone's shoulders are going to be more impressive at the end of the year. And this applies to any body part, shoulders, biceps, legs. For you ladies out there, if you notice, for you ladies, the ladies that have the most impressive lower body, they tend to be always doing legs, glutes. They always seem to be working that body part, right? It's not an accident for the guys. Guys with big arms are always curling, right? But that's another story right there. Curls for the girls, so to speak. So let me look over to the comments now. I definitely saw some questions coming in as we were doing this, but I figured us handle them all at one time. So let's see, where is my first question? Okay, here we go. So first kind of comment from Skincare Do's and Don'ts. She says, curious to find out about getting those shoulders together. Summertime cropped up and sunset season never gone. Well, that was pretty much doing the routine you saw there, right? And I already touched on Sika Methis and her basketball shoulders, right? I'm going to take that as a compliment, Seek. Let's see. What else do we have? Positive Therapist asks, do I recommend these for beginners? Yes, I do. Minus that Pike push-up thing, as I mentioned. Everything else is easily done as a beginner. No doubt about that. Where beginners get into trouble is typically, again, I'm generalizing here, but it's fairly accurate. Men lift too heavy, women lift too light. Tell you a true story. My last coach, my third coach, IFBB Pro, significantly more muscular than me, right? He goes as heavy as 185 pounds on the incline bench. He had this joke. He said, Kirk, I'm always seeing these guys that are like half his size lifting more than him, right, on the incline bench press. Because he pointed out to me, he's never been at a pool party before where girls ask him how much he benches. All they tell him is his chest looks fantastic and he looks gorgeous to them, right? So guys love to ego lift. They love to know numbers and whatever. Does not matter. If you're bare pressing the weight and you're not activating that muscle, you can't feel that muscle, you're not really maximizing things and you're more likely to go hurt yourself, right? You're not being efficient and effective in the gym. So that was a good point there. Good info on bent arm lateral raises, usually standing straight. Yes, slightly leaning forward is a good thing to do, for sure. Here's a good question by Needs Watches. I've heard lateral raises are one of the more dangerous exercises due to potentially pinching your shoulder muscle. Any truth to that? Nope, no truth to that whatsoever. I think what you might be referring to is when they do the seat is bent over, where they used to have this thing where they would be like pinkies down, and you try to do it like, let me get my hand on the screen, where the thumbs are down and they were raising up like that. That is unsafe. Where you do the thumbs down, that's definitely unsafe. Even if I'm doing it now, I can feel, it just feels weird, like I'm feeling some pressure back there, right? But if I just do a lateral raise, I feel it on this side, the meaty part here, right? Not back there. Back there, I was feeling like joint pressure here. Just with just my arms, I'm feeling the muscle in here, right? The side lateral head. So that's a very good question. So I'm assuming back then was this pinkies down thing. Don't do that. And if you see in the video, he's not doing that with his arms. Skincare do's and don'ts. I've seen people doing the leaning side lateral raise with a cable. Is doing the cable better for a beginner? The cable is better, period, in the sense that it's keeping constant tension, not just on the way up, but on the way down. The one downside with dumbbells is that because when you're bringing the weight back down, that's actually where the sand shows. That's when you're doing getting most of the benefit, right? It's, for example, on the curl, it's not the curling it up, it's the bringing it back down. That's where you're getting the most benefit. It's counterintuitive for any of these exercises, right? Same with the bench. It's not the pushing it up, it's the lowering it. That's why, generally speaking, you don't want to go too fast. You're just doing time under tension. So if the weight is too heavy and you're rushing through, not doing it properly, again, you're not getting the full benefit, right? So the cable is actually optimal. The only downside with the cable I find is that sometimes you get to these in-between weights. So let's say you're at 10 pounds and the next level up is 15, but you're not quite strong enough for 15, but 10 is too light. That's the one time I see something. Now, some gyms have these little add-on weights you can put on top of the stack for the cable to make it be, say, 12. So that's the only downside I see with the cable. And sometimes, depending on the angle, it can feel weird. I don't know how to describe it. But anytime anything feels weird or any pain, don't do it, right? I don't care if it's a great exercise. There's tons of exercises out there for you to do, right? So if any one of them feels weird to you, do not do it. That's your body trying to tell you either you're doing it incorrectly or biomechanically, this is just not something for you, right? I don't care how wonderful this exercise is. And as I've said before, in any gym, you can easily and effortlessly find somebody who looks like they know what they're doing, muscular person, usually. And these people are passionate about it. They'll typically happily give you free advice. I've never had somebody refuse to give me advice in any gym, male or female. That's a very good tactic to use to get advice from people. Or we can just hire somebody as well, right? Skincare do's and don'ts. Yep, you definitely see the less muscular person lifting too heavy at LA Fitness. Yep. Definitely. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. B. Pauly says, I'm working and getting bigger shoulders. So I'm curious to know what's your current routine, B. Pauly. If you type that in the chat, I can evaluate that for you. Let me know what you're doing currently. Because all these things always depend on what the person's doing. There's no one size fits all, right? So whenever you see these people that have these standard programs, buy my shoulder program, and it's just a static thing, it's better than nothing, don't get me wrong, but it's not optimal. They don't know what you've done, what you're trying to accomplish, blah, 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 right? I don't like the standard one size fits all type of things. Sika Mita said, B. Pauly camming up today, huh? So you're finally calling in? Let's see. Jesus, those needs watches. Pike push-ups. Yeah, Jesus, those push-ups. LOL. I agree. Again, this is why I'm saying for those push-ups, you'd have to have no access to any kind of gym to be bothering with that, right? So, I mean, just your standard push-up is going to work your shoulders to some extent. Obviously, it's not optimal, right? Push-ups are mainly for the chest and your triceps, but you get some indirect shoulder work, right? But nothing beats going to a gym. Nothing beats going to a gym. B. Pauly is very advanced. He can do handstand push-ups. So B. Pauly is no joke, right? He's doing some CrossFit type stuff there. Those things are extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Let's see. B. Pauly, I need bigger traps. Now, the trap thing is kind of simple, right? It's just shrugs. There's no getting around that. And it's a hard, minus lifting too heavy, it's an easy thing. You simply, again, just bring it up, right? And you should feel something back there. I mean, just do it. You know, here's a good tip, right? I do this with my lateral raise. Before I do weights, I do a couple of reps with my arms just to feel that muscle. And then I start with 5-pound dumbbells. I do a set of that just to feel, warm things up as well too. For shoulders, it's an easy joint. They're strong. It's hard to overtrain them, but you can injure them. I know it's almost counterintuitive. They're hard to overtrain, but you can injure them easily. So you should always warm up, like a 5-pound dumbbell, maybe going like this, or a 2.5-pound dumbbell, something light going like this, right? You'll see guys doing that in the gym sometimes. I always start light on shoulder day. I don't play around with shoulder day at all. Never just go grab heavy weights for shoulders. The other thing too was when he was doing them dumbbell presses, you know, he said use your knee to get the weight up in the air. Do not swing the weight up and grab it. I used to do this. Thankfully, I never hurt myself, but a chiropractor, sports chiropractor, worked with some NFL players, showed me how bad that is. Because basically, when you swing the weight up and you catch it, you're relying on your muscles, the joint, to just stop this heavy weight in momentum that's in the air. Don't do this. I'm just pure luck. I didn't hurt myself doing that, right? So never do that. But the traps, you got to do shrugs, B. Paul. You no doubt about that. Again, you could easily throw shrugs in on shoulder day and back day, right? Just throw in a set, or I'd say 3 sets, I should say, rather, on your shoulder day. I don't know what your current split is, your routine is. If you only do home workouts or bodyweight things, you can just get 2 dumbbells, right? And do that. Do enough of those till your muscle is fatigued. Your traps will grow. Your traps will grow. Deadlifts indirectly hit your traps as well. Yes, beep handstand push-up, you on some handman. Exactly. Yeah, B-Paul is no joke. He is no joke. There's a good question, B-Paul. How important is the speed of the reps when sculpting body? Yeah, I kind of touched on this indirectly earlier. You don't want to go too fast. There's something called time under tension, right? Back again to lifting too heavy. If the weight is too heavy, you can't get enough reps in. So generally for muscle hypertrophy, that is getting the muscle bigger, you're talking 8 to 12 reps. So if you can't get at least 8 reps out, it's too heavy. And by 8 reps, I mean, so you're doing a sets of 3. So the first set, you could do 8 reps. The second set, you can do 6 and then 6. The weight was too heavy. You needed to do all 3 sets, right? Or you should have lowered the weight. After that second set, when you couldn't handle the weight, then the third set, you need to lower the weight, right? Because you need time under tension. Now, if you're just trying to get strong, you're doing lower reps, that's different, right? You're trying to move the weight as quickly as possible, essentially in that case. But for muscle hypertrophy, which as your point of sculpting the body, slow. That's why sometimes you see guys doing a curl and they're slowly bringing it up, or at least slowly bringing it down on that movement, right? That portion of the movement, I should say. That's where, remember, the benefits is that portion of the movement, not when you're making the curl or pushing it up. It's the lowering. And back to the example with the cable, that's another reason why cables can be better sometimes, right? Because on the reverse motion, the cable is creating resistance for you. You just need to resist it because the cable wants to snap back. So you just need to resist it, so to speak. So that's a very good question. Very good question. Again, that's another downside if guys are lifting too heavy, right? Hey, welcome to the show. More Power Driver. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Feel free to ask any questions you would like or call into the show as well. Let me drop the link for that again, too. I agree with this. You should hop on the show and tell me about your workout. You sounds like you do some serious body, like CrossFit type stuff, B. Pauly. Okay, so here's what B. Pauly is doing. Currently elevated pike push-ups. So as obviously B. Pauly is advanced, wall-assisted handstand push-ups and shoulder press. Okay, so regarding your traps, B. Pauly, do you have dumbbells at home? And are they heavy enough? I know you hear me say not to lift too heavy, right? But say 20-pound dumbbells. I'm guessing 20, 30, 40, something like that, 50, for you to be doing shrugs. Let me know if you have that. Well, you say you're doing shoulder press, so I'm guessing you have dumbbells, right? So you should be able to do dumbbell shrugs. Another thing that can be great help is Versa grips. Yeah, B. Pauly, confirm for me that you do have that, because let me show you this great device can help you guys with the shrugs. Let me look this up. Versa grips. Let's see, Versa grips. These things are fantastic. Coach of mine gave them to me, or shouldn't give me, told me about them. And I hurt my forearms. Versa grips. Seen all these bogus ones. These things are not exactly cheap, but they're pretty effective. Okay, let me share my screen so I can show these to you. Because when you're getting to a certain level, you don't want your grip strength to be the limiting factor for shrugs, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's do a share screen. Go to this tab and share these. So basically, you wear these around your wrist, right? This portion here would wrap around the bar or the dumbbell, the handle portion, and then this is what's keeping your forearms aren't holding the weight. This is holding the weight, right? Just picture you tying something to a bar, and then you're relying on your arm to hold the weight, quote unquote. So that means you can lift heavier weights, right? To do those shrugs in or to do more reps, etc., etc. So that's a good tip there I can give you guys. Yeah, those things are incredible. They're not cheap, but they will last forever, pretty much. They will last forever. Hey, B. Paul is called into the show. Okay, let me add you to the stream. Hey, B. Paulie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Kirk? How you doing, man?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Welcome to the show.
Great to meet you, man. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you perfectly, man. Perfectly.
Great, man. Yeah, I'm at work right now, but I said I was gonna count up a couple shows ago, so I wanted to get on.
Yeah, you're doing some serious advanced stuff, man. Because I've seen those things when I tried CrossFit. You clearly have great body control if you can do handstand push-ups. That's pretty badass.
You know what, Kirk? Right now, I'm actually in the beginning stages. I only been doing those for about a half a year, so I'm still using a wall to help me get up there.
Yeah. But still, so most people can't do one. Trust me. So you're way more advanced than most people.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I couldn't even do like 1 or 2 pull-ups, man. I was I was out of shape. So I'm just now really getting back into shape. Yeah, dropped a lot of bad habits over COVID. You know how a lot of people during COVID, they gained weight and got out of shape? I actually did the opposite.
Nice. Shout out to that.
Yeah. So I started to work out at home a lot more. And I only go to the gym about twice a week now.
Okay. Got you.
Yep.
Well, in those days, then, since you're talking about developing your traps, I would modify your workout to, take full advantage of the heavier weights in the gym. So if you go inside the Smith machine, where the barbell is affixed to the machine, that's an easy one to just stand there and do shoulder work because it has the hooks. So you can really load it up with weight, so to speak, and you don't have to worry about hurting yourself or anything. And you can figure out what's the heaviest you can do properly. Or go to that machine with the 2 handles where you can stand there and do shrugs. Either one of those works. And back to the Versa grips of the show, or just wrist wraps. Once you've maxed out the weight for your natural forearm grip, if you're trying to go heavier than that, just get wraps. They don't have to be as fancy as the Versa grips. You can get regular wrist wraps to tie on your wrists, and you wrap around the bar, and that can help take it to another level, essentially. So.
Thanks. You know what? I was just on Amazon the other day looking at some of those hooks and those grips. So I didn't know exactly how good they were or what advantage they gave me, but I definitely will order some of those because I wanted to take my exercises up a notch, and I think that will help me, man. But I'm not as far advanced as you think I am. I'm just now getting started. I'm a former smoker. I used to smoke cigarettes for years, so I quit that like 3 years ago. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in a stage of transition and getting more into health. I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat in about a year and a half. But speaking of that, that's another question I had about omega-3s and omegas, getting my omegas in. Currently, I got like a mix that they sell at Whole Foods with different types of seeds in there, and I mix that in with my smoothies to get my omegas.
Right.
So, so do you think that's a sufficient enough way to get omegas in is by getting some of those seed supplements from like Whole Foods, or will I probably need to eat at least fish? Because I don't mind eating fish.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then I would just eat the fish, right? And failing the fish, I would take the fish oil because, like I use the example with the baby formula, right? It's the most engineered food in the world, but it's still inferior to mother's milk. Like nothing beats food, real food. Right. Because these huge bodybuilders or these pro athletes, they devour a ton of fruit, right? I mean, protein shakes, all this other stuff is supplemental for them, but I see them, they just devour real food because there's so much stuff in there you just don't know, right? For example, when they look at a cow that eats grain instead of grass, the ratio of those fats are reversed. They're not as good.
Right.
The wild caught fish, it's different than the farm raised fish when they break it down. So yeah, optimally, I would just go. You can't go wrong with fish, right? Your wild caught fish. Do not get the farm raised stuff, right?
Exactly. Hey, I'm in Michigan, so there's a lot of places to fish, man. In Michigan, you can't go I think they say you can't go 2 miles any direction without running into a freshwater lake in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, I used to live in Michigan before. I lived in Michigan. Yeah, lots of lakes. Yeah, lots of lakes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of spot to get fish, man. So I was definitely considering working the fish back into my diet, even though I don't eat meat. I think I'm definitely going to start working the fish back into my diet, and maybe 2 or 3 times a week. If you think that's sufficient, you think?
Yes, generally speaking, yeah, that should be more than enough, right? Because nothing beats it. I should eat more fish personally. I mean, I take the fish oil every day, but I mean, I know that is still not as good as eating the actual fish. I'm kind of lazy with the cooking on that.
Right.
I do my shrimp like literally every day, but you can mass cook that. The only thing I can't mass cook is fish and beef. Where everything else I can mass cook, which I love the mass cooking effect of just cooking, throwing it in the fridge, heating it back up. Can't do that with the fish, right? But you're probably motivating me to go get back on the fish thing again. Like I love salmon. Salmon is great, and it's super healthy too, right? That incidentally, that's what got me to start eating vegetables. Fish, because I mentioned on another show, I couldn't eat vegetables. This is when I was like super fat. And I could only eat it with the fish because the fish would overpower the taste of the vegetables. So for those of you trying to eat healthier and you can't eat your veggies that taste terrible to you, just put something tasty in your mouth with it. A piece of chicken, beef, fish, whatever. It will make the broccoli, the spinach taste better. Now I can eat veggies, no problem. I eat a ton of veggies every day just by themselves. But initially my taste buds are so messed up. If I bit a carrot, it tastes like I was biting into a lemon. No joke. Yeah, whatever. My taste was bad. But now, if I bite a carrot, I can taste the sweetness in the carrot. But I couldn't eat it literally. But I realized that's what hurts a lot of people. The healthy food tastes terrible to them because their taste buds are so overwhelmed with all the bad stuff. They can't handle it. So, like I said, titrate your way. Water tastes terrible. Go from soda to orange juice, go from orange juice to some flavored water or something, flavored water to water. Just, wean yourself down slowly but surely, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. That's something I had to transition from when I did stop eating meat. When I started to eat more vegan and plant-based meals, I learned it was more about the flavor and the seasoning than the actual meat. It was more about the flavor. So I would eat a lot of tofu, and I would eat, different things that are plant-based, but the flavoring had to be good, and it was good. So it made a big difference, and it made it easier for me to transition. And I eat a lot of Jamaican food, ironically. I'm not Jamaican though, but I eat a lot of curry and jerk, like jackfruit. Jackfruit. But usually they serve a lot of rice. And that's one thing you said something about the grains last time. And I was like, oh no, but I got to stop the grains. And it's hard. That's harder for me to quit than meat, which is crazy. I love rice.
Yeah. I remember this trainer.
And oatmeal.
Yes. This trainer told me, a Jamaican guy, he's like, Jamaican food can make you fat. Right? When it's a festival or a ton of rice. Yeah. So here's where the tracking comes in, right? This is why tracking is beautiful. It really dawned on me some years ago. I remember the night I was going to the comedy club. There's a comedy club in West Palm Beach, and you have a 2-drink minimum you have to buy. And I didn't realize I could just order water. So I'd always order 2 glasses of wine, whether I drank them or not. And I remember one evening going, you know what? Let me lower my rice for that day. And that's when it really, the beauty of tracking. Because most of the time when you're going to go out to eat or whatever, in advance. It's usually not just spontaneous. So you can adjust. If you know you want to go out and you have some nice meal with a bunch of rice, then during the day just eat less carbs that day, right? Because it's all about the volume for one thing in terms of body sculpting, etc. And again with the organic, right? There's the science to me. I mean, you can find science that says it doesn't make a difference, but common sense tells me it make a difference. And in my skin, because I have dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis, when I went clean, all these things disappeared. And when it hit me was I had an audit, my full-time job in Switzerland, And I went there 1 year and I was still fat. The next year I went back, I wasn't as fat.
Right.
And the Swiss people, the Europeans, they were like, wow, you transformed. You look more like us now. I was doing triathlons at the time, and they said to me, what else have I noticed? And it clicked to me, man, my scalp isn't messed up. My skin isn't messed up. I used to have to take like Claritin every day and all this other kind of stuff. And yeah, so all my allergies and stuff just magically went away, right?
Right.
So there's always something. There's something in that stuff when it's not clean. As we talked about the other day with the ingredients, there's things in there you can't pronounce, words you've never heard of.
Yeah.
You just Google them. Usually there's something not so good with them, so to speak. So I try to be as clean as possible, like say 80, 90% of the time. And when I go too bad for too long, my skin will break out. And then it forces me back on the straight and narrow, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Skin is often a telltale for me as far as what my diet has been like.
Okay.
It's very reactive to what I eat. So that's one of the telltales. If I'm eating too much sugar or sodium, usually I'll see it in the skin first.
Yeah. I'll break out behind my ears, for example, because I love cherries. If I get too ham on the cherries, I'd start breaking out, or my eyebrows or something around there. Because I think it's usually where you have hair on your head or your face that you'll see at least breakouts on your face at any rate, right? So
right. And you know what? Speaking of the ingredients you were talking about the other day, you mentioned I think it was Maltodextrin.
Yes.
I found that in I was looking through my supplements. I do plant-based protein.
Okay.
I do a pre-workout and also a creatine. So I looked on the back and I looked for that. Yeah. And I did see it on one of my supplements, which was the creatine supplement. So I'm going to have to swap that out.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, that brand I really like, Thorne, Thorne. I'd put a couple links in the last show. I should have done it in this one. Yeah, I need to create like a template that I just keep copy pasting it to every show, because in the About tab of YouTube, it's limited space in there. Yeah. But in the show notes, you have like 5,000 characters.
5,000. Yeah.
I'm copy pasted in there. So thanks for reminding me. But yeah, their stuff is very clean, NSF certified for manufacturing wise. But yeah, these people just put all this garbage in there for no reason, right? Like the artificial colors, like color number red. Like, say you open your supplement bottle and it's not white, it's colored. They already have garbage in there, right?
It's already
contaminated with nonsense, basically. And the Maltodextrin, like I said in the show, there's nothing good comes of this, right? Nothing good comes of that. So there's always a cleaner version that you can get with. And good thing, when you're buying stuff, even on Amazon nowadays, when you click any bottle, you can always click in the ingredient and they'll have a zoomed in picture like what I have shown before. And you just scroll onto the ingredients. And if you see the nonsense in there, just don't buy that one. Just don't buy that one at all.
Roger that.
Definitely don't use that creatine for sure with the craziness in it.
You know what, Kirk? It's almost at the bottom, so I'm gonna use the rest of it, and then I'm swapping it out.
Getting another. It's not gonna kill you. Don't get me. It's definitely not gonna kill you, right? 80-20 rule, man. You're already doing better than most, right? So, I mean, I can tell from your face that you're obviously lean. That's another thing.
172 this morning. 172. I'm 5 foot. Yeah, I'm 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, my dad is 5'10", 160 something, I think. Yeah. So yeah, your optimal weight right there. So I mean, if you get any bigger, most likely it's going to be muscle, which is perfect. You're at the optimal weight for your height, body type.
Yeah.
And
I'm working on it. It's a journey.
Yeah. I'm sure
it's a journey, Kurt.
Yeah.
Speaking of the journey, man, during your journey, when you first started and you started to get into it, did you have a person or a fitness mentor or somebody that you may not even known, but you just picture them and their body type or their exercise style? And did that help motivate you? Did you have one person in mind that you kind of modeled yourself over or help motivate you?
Well, I had several, actually. I kind of got lucky. I was living in Michigan, so lost a bunch of weight in Texas, moved to Michigan, got fat again, came to South Florida, went to the beach. Everybody looks fantastic. And I was like, wow. So when I'd go to the gym, there was like a ton of people that looked good. I mean, I used to joke saying that maybe they were screening people like at the club or something. Because the amount of fantastic looking male and female bodies I saw was ridiculous. I had lots of role models, let's say. Then the luckiest thing I had is I stumbled into my first coach, the IFBB Pro Bikini model. Saw this beautiful looking woman, and she was training, and she had this cap that said IFBB. And on a hunch, I wondered. So I asked her, "Excuse me, hey, does that stand for I blah blah blah?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a pro." And I was like, "Oh wow, do you do training?" She's like, "Yes." And she was my first coach, and she evaluated me accurately. She said, "You have no shoulders." So she had me doing shoulders twice a week. All the stuff we were talking about today, right? She had me doing the presses. And again, I was super weak. I was just like 10-pound dumbbells were more than enough for me. And again, the side lateral raises, the ones bend over to hit the rear. Because she said that's the number one thing we're going to focus on first, your shoulders, because it will make everything else look better. Make your chest look better. It will look everything look better. So that was very useful to me, because even though I knew a lot, nothing beats these in the trench knowledge that these people have, right? So A, they themselves look fantastic. And B, they usually have other people they've trained to make it look fantastic as well, right? So they have real world experience. They know this works, that doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I got learned a lot from her. You know, I actually interviewed her in one of my earlier videos, actually. So to answer your question, yeah, I had professional training. And secondly, I had lots of role models. And also, how to put this? Like say, sport chiropractors, massage therapists. Luckily, again, down here is not really typical. Like the gentleman I interviewed who worked with the Bengals, you know, he's worked with Joe Burrow, the NFL quarterback, the Super Bowl quarterback. He was living down there. So I actually had him work on me. I learned things from him.
So you're in Florida now, Kurt?
I'm in Florida, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been very lucky that way. There was another gentleman that did some work on me. He worked on Roger Federer, you know, the tennis player. So these people are elite level professionals, let's say, whether it's coaching or not. So I learned a lot from them, and they were very motivational. You know, when you see in the gym guys deadlifting 400, 500, 600 pounds, and you're you're less than them, but you see them doing it and you talk to them, it's something you can imagine yourself doing, to the point you're trying to make. You know, it's one thing to read it or see it in a video, but when you actually see the guys walking around, or the ladies, some strong ass ladies I've seen in gyms that look very feminine, but they're squatting 225, 15, and they're very girly looking, right? They're not big and muscular at all. So again, they're very and most of these people will happily talk to you. They'll spend minutes talking to you, or they'll evaluate you for free. I've had that so many times where they watch me and say, yeah, fix this, fix that, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, you should definitely try to have something to shoot for, but don't try to shoot for a bodybuilder. That's not going to happen. My coach told me very clearly, if you keep shooting for that, you'll be disappointed. You can't look like that. Those people have world-class genetics. They're taking special supplements in pharmaceutical aids, right? You know what I'm talking about? So, and they're professionals, right? They don't have a full-time job. This is what they do. Full-time. They eat, sleep, work out again. Some of these guys are doing, and ladies are doing 2 a days. Like I have time to do that. I got a job, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Can't keep up with those people. But again, at your height, 5'10", 172, there are a ton of dudes out there who wish they were your weight at your height, right? Yeah. So, you're clearly on the right path, let's say. So you said you went to the gym like 2 or 3 times a week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at home, how many times per week are you hitting shoulders?
About 3 times a week I'm hitting shoulders.
Okay, got you. So let's say like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something like
that? Those are the exact days.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, exact days, yeah.
If those days you could throw in getting to the gym for those days, then you just throw in like your trap work, for example. Although actually your trap work won't really hinder the shoulder work too much. And do you have dumbbells at home for like side laterals?
I'm sorry, the audio is coming through like computerized. It's weird. I don't know why it started doing that.
Let's see.
Nothing changed on my end. It just started out of the book.
Let's see if anybody else is not hearing me properly. Let me speed up. Anybody not hearing me properly? Well, let me talk.
It's happened before on StreamYards. I don't know why it does that sometimes.
Okay, got you. I was asking, do you have dumbbells to do side laterals at home?
Yes, I only got 40s.
Oh, that's more than big enough, man. That's more than big enough. What size weights do you have, dumbbell wise?
Honestly, I only have 40 dumbbell. I have 40s and under. I have 40, 30, 20, and then I have 2 plates at home that are 45 plates.
Okay, 40, 30. So
the audio is fixed now. The audio is good.
Okay, good. So for side laterals, 40 pounds is too heavy. Unless
Yeah,
you're
definitely.
yeah. So, a matter of fact, 30 probably is too heavy. I mean, your 20s are good. So, the good news with shoulders, you can work the hell out of shoulders. Like I said. So, for example, you could do side laterals literally like a set of three sets. You could do those 5 days a week easily. You could easily do that. Could that be a total of 15 sets for the week, right? In terms of volume wise. So the 2 or 3 days you go to the gym, just do a set of 3 side laterals. Like start with a weight that you can do, say 15 reps, then slightly increase that weight. So now you're down to 12 reps, then you're down to 10, 8. So you could do like 8, 10, 12, or 8, 10, 12, 15, or 10, 12, 15, something like that. Just about whenever you do hit the gym, just do those 3 sets. You could do that at the end of your workout, right? And back to the traps again, 2 or 3 times of the 3 sets of that with a weight that you can, get it all the way up. So you feel like even now, I have no weight in my hand, but I can feel it.
You can feel it, yeah.
Back there, you can feel it. So if you're doing this with whatever weight it is and you can't feel it, it's too heavy. You just gotta, swallow your ego. Wait, there's a thing, it's as if we feel everybody's looking at us in the gym, but nobody's looking at us in the gym. That's the reality. People are thinking, man, everybody's looking at me curling. No, nobody's looking at you curling. Not unless you look impressive.
Right.
So if you're busy curling something light, nobody's looking at you going, man, look at that guy over there. He's so weak. Nobody's doing this.
Right.
So yeah, you got to be able to squeeze. So you'll get your traps, man. If you do that for a couple of months, you will definitely see the difference. And protein wise, do you so first of all, do you track your food?
No, I don't. I currently don't. I need to start tracking my food for sure. I try to track it in my head, but no, I don't track it on the app or write it down.
Right. I would say track it for like a week or two, because especially if you're eating the same things, after a while you'll have a good ballpark figure in your mind. But you want to get like a gram per pound of body weight, because if you're working out and you don't have enough protein, nothing is going to happen for your traps. They're not going to change. Right. You can't outwork out a bad diet. I mean, your diet is not bad in the sense that it's bad, but we need to make sure you're getting enough calories. That's the other thing, right? A common thing I run into is that people don't eat enough food. It's very counterintuitive. Most people don't eat enough food, right? You think, I got to cut down on the food to lose weight. If you're already starving, your body's not going to shed any fat. Your body's like, no. We don't know when this food is going to feed us again. We're not getting rid of any fat. Right? Exactly. It's gonna keep on to that. So I would say MyFitnessPal is a very easy piece of software to use.
MyFitnessPal. I've seen that app before.
It's free, right?
Okay.
It is free. You don't have to pay for it at all. And it's easy to just add food. You just search for it, add it in. And for example, if you put in, say, what you eat for dinner, breakfast, lunch, the next morning, if it's something similar, you can just swipe right. It loads all those meals again. So this takes a second, swipe right. You can edit the ones you didn't eat or you don't plan to eat. But you want to get that protein number down. At the end of the day, you should be, you said you're 172, you're already very active. You should be getting 172 grams of protein thereabouts, or a little more than that, between 1 to say 1.2 grams per pound of body weight.
Got you.
Because if you're getting half a gram, 0.5 grams per pound, you're just not going to build muscle, man. I don't know what to, there's no getting around this. There's a reason all these athletes are always eating a ton of food.
Yeah, definitely.
So you may already be there, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to be guessing. So, and you would probably it sounds like you eat pretty clean. So it's not like you have to do this every day for the rest of your life, right? Do it for like a week or two, and then you can track in your head, I drank my pea protein. I ate this, I ate that. I should be around 120. So I got another 40, 50 to go for the day. And then you can just mentally calculate, I'm going to do dinner, have a snack, blah, blah, blah. But it helps you stay on track, because it's hard to catch up. So let's say you get to dinner and you've only had 100 grams for the day. It's going to be hard for you to just devour 70 grams worth of protein, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's once you miss a meal, it's hard to catch up. That's what I found. It's very difficult from a pure logistical point of view.
You think it's better to load up on proteins earlier in the day?
No. The two most important meals of the day is your pre-workout and your post-workout. Okay. You need the protein. So big picture, first of all, you don't need to have the protein right after the workout. That's been debunked. Studies that show that it's only on athletes that were in a fasted state, that had no food in them, basically. But pre-workout, you don't want those amino acids in your bloodstream. It's going to help you through the workout, help with the muscles, etc. And then post-workout again, because there's this window for sure. Again, you don't have to eat right after, but from a purely logistical point of view, it's going to be optimal, right? To just get that food in as soon as possible, just get it out of the way. So
right.
In a perfect world, you'd eat most of your calories around your workout.
Got you.
Yeah. So regarding earlier in the day, maybe if it's a day you're not working out, then sure, the more you eat earlier, the better. But funny enough, it's been proven scientifically that protein before bed improves muscle protein synthesis.
Oh, got you.
Like I said, 45 minutes or an hour before. It's counterintuitive. I mean, when my coach had me doing that, and I was getting checked on the DEXA scan machine every month, I clearly saw an increase in the amount of muscle I was building, right? And that was pretty much the only change I could see in terms of dietary, in terms of the protein, was making sure to have that meal just before bed. You know, if you think the word breakfast is breaking your fast.
Breaking the fast,
so,
yeah.
Now, if you eat a bunch of carbs before bed, yeah, that could turn to fat, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about protein, specifically protein, right? Your body's going to use it while you sleep to build, repair, etc.
Got you. Hey, I appreciate the information, man. I definitely will be tapping back in with you.
Yeah,
and just to let you know, man, you're one of my newest motivations as well, man. You definitely help keep me motivated, and I appreciate the information.
Yeah, thanks. Call in anytime, man. It was great chatting with you.
For sure. Thanks again, Kurt, man. I'll be on. I'll try to catch every live I can, man, and I'll keep working and grinding away.
Yes, consistency is the key, man. Consistency is the key. All right, keep it up, man. You're motivating me as well. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Peace. Catch you later, bro.
Later, bro. All right, that was B. Paulie calling in. Man, that was a pretty cool story he told. Very impressive. Yeah, I think he's underestimating how impressive he is. Most fit people cannot do a single handstand push-up. I noticed. And a pistol, the one-legged squat, yeah, most people would hurt themselves trying to do that. So he's doing a lot better than he realized, especially with his height and weight combination. It's practically what an adult used to be like 50, 60 years ago. A typical adult male is not B. Paulie's height and weight at all, which is not good, right? Part of the obesity epidemic. So let's see, what other questions do we have? That's the key starting. Hello, Angelique. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Angelique says salmon was hard to give up, and still I'm tempted sometimes. You know, so here's something funny, Angelique. When you have a fiending for something, it might because perhaps your body. So, for example, make sure you get enough healthy fats, right? Because sometimes when you're fiending for something, it's your body trying to tell you it needs something from that food, right? So that may be something to consider. Just make sure you're getting, because I know you're a vegan/vegetarian. Just make sure you're getting enough healthy fats in your diet. Yep, I agree. Whole food carrots taste so yummy. Yeah, to think 5-7 years ago, those things were like biting into lemons. But yeah, now they taste great. Or good. Let me not say great. Let me not lie. They taste good. I won't say great. Positive third. My brother goes out 60 to 80 miles to fish. He doesn't just buy fish. He cooks what he catches. Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. Pretty hardcore. And I agree with this. Jamaican food is yummy. I agree. I agree. Oh, here's something interesting. I did not know this. Ethiopian food has plenty of vegan options and it tastes amazing. I did not know that. So for all the vegans in the chat or watching this video. Okay. Skin always blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. Your skin always tells on you. I tell my clients that all the time. I know when they're not following their treatment plans. Ah, yes. Yeah, when I get bad with the food, after a while, my skin will break out. That is true. Yep, more positive stuff for B. Paulie. Positive therapist. Congratulations at B. Paulie. I agree. I agree. Needs Watches says this is great info. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah, this is a good point. Positive therapist makes. People in the gym are taking care of business. They aren't watching anyone. I agree. You know, I used to think when I was there in my little lightweights that everybody's watching, but yeah, nobody's watching your ass, right? Unless you got a fantastic ass, then yes, they are watching your ass. Then they probably are watching your ass. Let's see. Applause to B. Pauly. Yep, I agree. Applause to B. Pauly. I agree. Angelique is getting enough fats. I would agree. Yeah, if you're eating the avocado, eat the whole avocado. Then I think it's, yep, I agree 100%. Avocados are fantastic. I love those. Do you add salt to yours? Add salt to mine. They always tasted good before, but when I discovered this adding salt to the avocado, oh my God. Damn, that's like the best tasting. Is it technically a vegetable? I think it is, right? But yeah, avocados with salt. It's been a while since I've had an avocado. Maybe I'll go get some today. Go stop at Whole Foods and get some avocados. It's been a while. It's been a while. And let me drop the link again in case anybody else wants to call in. Or you can type your questions in. I'll happily answer them. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. If I did miss you, apologies, and simply copy and paste your question again. Or just tell me. One or the other. Oh, olive oil. I never thought of this. So Angelique, Wizimana Angelique says, I add salt and black pepper and a little olive oil. Okay, now I've never tried the olive oil. Huh. Okay, I'm going to have to try that. I'm going to have to try that. By the way, for those people tracking your food, you got to track the oils as well, too. So let's say you cook with your olive oil, you got to track that too, right? Everything that goes in your mouth, you got to track everything. So I had a client who, when she started tracking her salad dressing, she was shocked. She was shocked how many calories. That alone made her lose a couple pounds, right? That alone, because you tend not to think of condiments as a big deal. I sprinkle some stuff or I pour some stuff, but you got to read the label, right? You got to read the label. Just like B. Pauly found it with the Maltodextrin, right? I agree with this. Oops, I thought I added this one. Nope, I did the wrong one again. The chat is moving. This is the one I wanted to get. Whole Foods has the best avocados ever, hands down. Yeah, Whole Foods produce tends to be of the highest quality. You know, whether it's the fruit or the vegetables. Where some stores, it's hit and miss, but Whole Foods would pull stuff when it's garbage. And if you buy stuff and it turns bad, you can carry it back and get a full refund or get new stuff. You know, I don't know a lot of other places, supermarkets that do that, to be honest. And they started doing that again, you know, in this post-COVID environment. If your blueberries go bad or your blackberries, I carry them back and they let me get a fresh new pair, right? So Whole Foods return policy is fantastic. Fantastic. I should get them to sponsor me. I'm always promoting Whole Foods here, right? Let's see. Another question, skincare do's and don'ts. What would you recommend for shoulder stabilization during shoulder exercise for someone who has bursitis? So first of all, I'd recommend you speak to a medical professional regarding your bursitis, right? Secondly, just to make sure you don't have anything going wrong there. A good massage therapist, that'd be another thing I would look into, right? To figure out what's going on there. Anything you do that hurt, as I said earlier, that's your body telling you to either you're doing it the wrong way or not to do it. In this case, you already have an issue. Anything that hurts, do not do it. That's your body trying to tell you, don't do this. We don't like this. Knock it off, right? And there's so many exercises out there. There are so many exercises. If anything hurts, there's tons of alternatives for you to do, a ton of them, right? And you can indirectly hit lots of muscles, right? So depending on what makes the bursitis flare up, let's say, you know, I would look into that for sure. Do you have any, is there any specific exercise you're doing that causes the pain, you know, when the bursitis flares up? Because, yeah, you definitely want to be careful with that for sure. And again, like I said, with the shoulders particularly, it's easy to jack up your shoulder, right? Easy to jack up your shoulder. It's hard to overtrain your shoulder, but when you mess things up, it can be a pain in the ass, right? I've seen this good sports chiropractor I've been to before. When I tweak things and he did some manipulations on it, he's not a regular chiropractor. He has other qualifications, right? He was the guy I said I was seeing like NFL people, NFL players. And college football players and some UFC type fighters as well. So again, if something hurts, it could just be something out. So for example, the other day I had elbow pain. I was suspected it wasn't the elbow that was hurting me because I've had this kind of thing before. They made an adjustment back here, right? Something wasn't firing right, and the pain came in the elbow. The human body is extremely complicated, right? I don't try to figure stuff like that on my own. I go to a professional that knows what they're doing. Optimally, you want to see a medical professional that works with athletes, not just somebody that works with the general population, because they're less cutting edge, tend not to keep up on stuff as much, and they don't have to perform, right? When they're working on an athlete has to perform in a sport, right? And those people tend to see more things. So let's say you hurt your shoulder because you're reaching in the back seat. You got kids, right? That's a common thing. I remember this massage therapist telling me about, like, a lot of ladies, something would go wrong with the shoulder reaching back there, but he knew how to fix it, right? So instead of you suffering with that pain, you need to see somebody like this. And they exist. They're not easy to find, don't get me wrong, but you can find them. You're definitely got to work at it to find them. You can see that video I did with Zach. The massage therapist used to be in Florida, and he's back in Ohio. He works with the Bengals and, other professionals as well. Very, very sharp individual. So Skincare Doozin says lateral raises hurt and front raises. So the front raises you definitely don't need to do, as it touched on earlier, because any kind of pressing motion is going to hit the front delts as well, right? So the first question is, do pressing motions hurt? Whether it's pressing up or like a bench press type thing, does that hurt? If the answer is no, you're covered your front raises right there. You don't need front raises. Regarding the side laterals, could it be your form on that, right? So for example, you could try with one arm, the leaning one, where it's just focus on one arm, because I find when I do that, my form is better. This is one of the few exercises, like I was mentioning, when I start with no weights in my hand, just to, do it properly and feel the muscle I'm trying to feel, the side, right? It's easy to get out of alignment and you start hitting the rear or the this or the that. Whereas when you're holding on to the pole and you're just doing this one arm, like even though I'm doing it with one arm, I can feel it more than right now when I do it with two. It's weird how that is. So sitting here right now with one arm, I can tighten this muscle more than when I do two arms. I don't know, it's weird, but this is just how it is. So that's one tip I can give you right there. Try that with, even at home right now, you can simply try that with one arm. Does that hurt? With no weight in your hand, if that hurts, again, you would want to see a medical professional about that, right? Pressing motions don't hurt, so that's great. So you can do pressing motions, no problem. Now, regarding the side laterals, you definitely want to see a good sports chiropractor for sure. A good sports chiropractor, or just a good sports massage therapist as well, right? Just to deal, whether it's a joint thing or a muscle tendon thing or whatever. Where are you based? You're based in Florida, right? So yeah, you should definitely be able to find somebody down here who could see you that could help with that. Definitely. Very good question. Very good question. Because it may be just something that's out of alignment that they can just rectify, Again, like I said, my left elbow will be hurting me, but it has nothing to do with my left elbow. It was back here. I've had this more than once, Your psoas muscle, which comes up through like your groin, almost like in your ab area. If that is tight, you can feel pain in your knee or your back. But you wouldn't think they got to loosen that, right? To remove knee pain or a lower back pain. So the body is very complicated. But never just suffer in silence with some kind of a pain. Oh, let me do this. This hurts. Let me not see anybody. No, go see a professional. Definitely see a professional. Yep, here's a good example we're talking about. Positive therapist. Agreed, coach. I have some clients who are retired athletes and they swear by the massage therapists like Zach. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, these people are like almost like magicians, basically, with what they can do for the human body. Almost like magicians. Let me drop the link again. Give you guys a last call for calling in. In the meantime, I'll go keep answering questions. The positive therapist says, I've mastered eating my salad without dressing. Fill it up with veggies, add shrimp. It's delicious. Yeah, there you go. My strategy of the meat with the veggies. If you can't eat veggies by themselves, right? And you don't want to pile on the calories with crazy carrot salad dressing. Yeah, it can add some protein to that. You could add some nuts, some fruit, blackberries. You know, blackberries work great in veggies and salads. They work great. Cottage cheese. Yeah, my favorite when I started to eat veggies and healthy was this prepared meal I would get. What was that company called again? My Fit Meals or something like that. Anyway, it was a salad with blackberries and cottage cheese in it. And man, I think pieces of chicken, I would devour that sucker. I mean, I just devour those vegetables because there's some weird combination with the blackberry and the cottage cheese. Man, it just tasted so good in my mouth. Until my taste buds got sensitive enough that I could just eat vegetables by themselves. Yep, B. Pauly confirms it. Nuts in salads are great. Yeah, nuts are very flavorful. And here's where it's important to track because nuts are very calorically dense. So you don't want to go crazy on the nuts. It's easy to just eat a ton of nuts and next thing you know, boom, that's 500, 1,000 calories and you're oblivious to this, right? So again, I cannot emphasize enough, guys. I know I keep harping on it on literally almost every show, but you see, no matter what we talk about, working out, this or that, it somewhat else ties back to that, right? Tracking your meals. There's no getting around this, right? No getting around, especially if you're trying to change. There's no getting around this. You track everything else in life, right? So let's see. Anything else? Avocado is a fruit. So it's not the best tasting vegetable. Yeah, I've had a feeling I was wrong there. Thank you for that. Tastes great with the salt. And I'm going to try what Angelique says, add a little olive oil to that. I do have olive oil. Great for cooking with. Okay. I don't think I've missed any comments or chat so far. Again, if I have, I apologize and just send them again. Send them again. All right. Well, I don't think I've missed anything else here. So unless anybody else is going to call in, any guys, any last questions or comments? I think we had a wonderful show today. Thanks again for tuning in. Had a great time with you guys. As usual, I learned something new. I'm always learning new things, right? Always learn things. Positive Therapy says My Fit Foods. Okay, there you go. I'm always learning new things. So thank you. I'll see you guys for tomorrow's show, which should be good again. All right. Laters, my massive. Me I go long now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that is goodbye, my people. Peace.